Hey everybody, Kevin Eikenberry here from Remarkable House this afternoon, doing a Facebook Live for you. And as I get ready to get started, just say hello in the chat. Tell me where you're from. If you're with us, I'd love to have you just check in, and I want to make sure that you can hear me and see me. So let me know if you can hear me and if you can see me, and just put a note in the chat, say hello, let me know where you're from. That would be really great. We're going to talk about, hello, Christine. We're here. We're going to talk about beliefs and expectations today, especially as it relates to the new leader. You can see that in the title. Here's the challenge. If we're a new leader, we may not be thinking about some of these things that are critical for our own success, because a lot of it's going on in our own head. Actually, everything I'm going to talk about for the next few minutes applies to all of us as leaders. I mention it being for new leaders because it's probably stuff that they haven't even considered, but it doesn't make it any less important for us to be aware of it for us as leaders, regardless of how long we've been leading, how old. We're really talking about a couple of things today. Two words here: belief and expectation. And we're going to talk about beliefs first. And by beliefs, what I mean here is, what are the beliefs that you hold about people, both collectively and individually? Until we understand that about ourselves, we can't succeed at the highest levels. And then the second question is, what are our expectations of people as a result? Now, this is the first of a series of Facebook Lives that lead up to a webinar that I'm going to do on September the 13th, a short, free webinar that I'm going to do on September the 13th. It's titled "The Power of Expectations: What New and All Leaders Must Know and Do." And Marissa, can you put that link in there? If people want to sign up for that webinar, they can sign up anytime, including from the link that will get put in here in just a second. So in that webinar, I'm going to dive deep into expectations in the way most of us might think about it, which is, what do I expect about my people very specifically to do that particular work or that particular task or that particular in that situation. But today I want to ask a broader question, and I asked it already. Jennifer said, hey, I believe that people are doing the very best they can with the skills and knowledge that they have. So that's Jennifer's belief, and that belief sets the table for how she will lead. And I would actually say that that's a very valuable and useful type of belief. So let me dive into this a little bit deeper on the belief side. So first, what do you believe about folks individually and collectively? What do you believe about human potential? Do you believe that people can be more successful? Do you believe that, generally speaking, people are doing the best that they can and want to do better? So what you believe about human potential in general, I'm not talking about individual people now, but where do you come from on this is critically important to our success, okay? And if you have come from a place that says, I believe people do have greater potential, then you're going to lead them differently than if you have come from a different place. Second belief area to think about is, what do you believe about people's motivation? If you believe that people mostly are coming to work for a paycheck and that's all, if you believe that to be their driving motivation, then you're going to lead differently than if you think that people have other motivations. Research says that there are other motivations besides money, but at the end of the day, the belief that you have about that as a leader is going to play a huge role in how successful you're going to be in this regard. And the third big area of belief here that I want to ask you about is about people. What do you believe about people's ability to succeed? Not just about their potential long-term, but their ability to succeed today. See, if you don't think that you have the right folks to get the work done, then that's going to change how you will interact with them, how you will coach them or not, and 100 other things. Our belief set, our mindset about what we believe about human behavior, human potential, and human motivation all plays a role in how successful we will lead. And if we're a new leader, we've not really probably thought about those things, and people aren't really asking us those questions, and we're not being challenged to consider those things. I said we were going to talk about beliefs and expectations. And as we talk about expectations here, I'm not talking about the very specific job expectation stuff and getting that clear. We're going to talk about that in a later one of these Facebook Lives. But today I want to say, what do you expect from your folks? Do you expect that they're going to give you their best? Do you expect that they're going to take ownership of and be accountable for their work? Do you expect them to behave in certain ways? Because the ways in which what you expect of them is going to have an impact on your, in what you will actually get, right? It's the self-fulfilling prophecy. So let me just tell you a little story. So it is now 3:35 p.m. Eastern time on a Friday afternoon. And yesterday I was in California teaching a workshop, and I didn't sleep in a bed last night. I slept on an airplane a little bit. And when I set up the fact that I was going to do this Facebook Live, I knew that I'd be coming off of a red-eye flight and coming off of working today, which is exactly the case. And I had a belief and an expectation in my mind that I would be successful in doing this. And the fact that I believe that and that I'm operating from that belief allows me to be more successful. Now, is it possible that if I had gotten more sleep, this would have been a more successful Facebook Live? Yeah, that's possible. But it's also true with beyond reproach that if I came into this thing saying, man, there's no way this is going to go well because I didn't get any sleep. If I came into it from that perspective, it wouldn't have gone as well. So this is about, the point that I'm talking about is, what are the expectations that we have of ourselves and of our teams? And do we have those in a positive sort of way? Do we have a positive expectancy, or do we have a more cynical expectancy? And so we think about it on a spectrum from highly positive to highly cynical. And I think that it's incumbent on us to think about, where do we fall on that? Where's our starting point as it relates to that? As it relates to all the things we're talking about, where is our starting point on our belief about humans' potential? Where is our starting point on that continuum about what we believe about people's motivations, about what we believe people's intentions are, and all of those things? If we can put that and make that clear in our heads, I believe we need to move on that scale more towards that positive expectancy. But what I'm challenging you to do today is to actually think about those questions. What do I believe about people individually and collectively? What do I expect from people because of those beliefs? And it is that starting point, before we get to anything about skills, about how we coach people or how we lead people, that we must have that underlying foundation. So I'm going to stop just for a second and say, if any of you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat box. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a webinar that I'm going to be leading soon. And let's see if I can get that link in here so that you can take advantage of that if you want. Marissa, are you there? Can you put that in for me? I think I can do it here real quick. There, she's got it. Thank you very much. So that webinar is going to be on September the 13th. It's completely free. And we're going to go much deeper into what you might have thought we were going to talk about today, about how do we set clear expectations with people? What does that look like? About the job and the work. But today, we step back and we think about this at a higher level. We think about where are our beliefs about folks. Now, we are in the next Facebook Live that I'm going to do next week on the 20th, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to talk about beliefs about specific members of our team and the importance and power of that. But for today, I'm challenging you to think about this on that bigger picture, to think about, what is it that I believe about folks? What is it that I expect from folks in the workplace? Because what we expect has a huge impact on what we'll actually get. And if we have a higher set of beliefs and expectations, the chances that we will get higher results are greater. What we believe and expect will impact what we get. And so I challenge you to think about that, whether you're a new leader or you're more experienced. Thinking about that will make a difference for you. So thanks so much for joining me for this short Facebook Live today. I'm going to be back with another one of these next week, again, on August the 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Join me then. And I'm going to talk about, what do you believe about your people specifically, the individual people on your team. We're going to talk about something there that I think could be extremely valuable, that should both excite you and scare you. And that's what we're going to do the next time we're together. Hopefully you will join me then, and hopefully you will sign up for the webinar right there on the link. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody.